Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, show where you come for your regular geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond, it's DL. What up, DL?
What up, Tommy?
How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm in control.
You're in control?
Do you feel in control?
He's back.
I'm in control.
DL Bain is back. Mate, you sound like you've got a bit of a cold over there. Like you're a
I
little
think
bit...
I just talked a lot today. It's work, right? Just on the calls, you lose your voice.
Bro, Teams is just sucking the life out of you.
The Zoom.
Yeah, the Zoom.
You're on Teams.
They're all the
Who
same.
the fuck's on Teams? Of
Dude,
course,
we have a partnership with Microsoft.
whatever.
We're a big boy. We're a big boy.
Teams sucks. Teams like works 1 out of 3 times.
Zoom is definitely worse than Teams. This is the worst chanter of all time
Yeah,
for the
we can
beginning of
cut
the
this,
podcast.
but actually, it's just not true.
Well, anyway, look, if you guys want to listen to us talk about our day, you absolutely can. There will be time codes in the description. Otherwise, DL, what have you been up to this week?
I have been, alongside losing my voice.
Yeah, God, it's really bad right now. You dying over there?
I don't know, man. I've been watching, honestly, nothing new. Actually, I watched Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, my days. What a film.
Oh, my days.
What a film.
That sounds like...
My days.
Is that a line from the
No.
movie? I wouldn't be surprised.
Hello, dears.
Hello, dears.
That's a line
aren't
from that
you just a
movie.
bitten bum? Like, look at that. Who's this strapping young lad?
So I remember we went out for a lunch fairly recently, and I think
This is why we watched
your
it, 'cause
partner
we-
was
yeah.
talking about doing some Robin Williams movies.
marathon. And like I vetoed like all the ones she wanted to watch, of course, were the ones that were bad.
Sure.
Like what was the one, Jack?
Oh, I've never seen that
Yeah,
one.
you want to know why? Because it's like terrible.
Is it depressing?
I don't know, but it's like a bad ratings everywhere.
Isn't it like he's got a kid's mind in an adult's body? Something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean like something like
One
that.
of those. Okay.
And it's just like I have no desire. to
Love
watch
Robin Williams though.
it. Yeah, I'm not. I just didn't want to watch that.
Love to watch things like Hook. That's a good one.
Hence
Flubber.
why I suggested either Flubber or Mrs. Doubtfire.
Flubber's the bomb.
And we went with Mrs. Doubtfire because I hadn't actually seen it ever.
Ooh, you never seen Mrs.
Yeah,
Doubtfire?
I'd seen like parts of it.
Pierce Brosnan is a beautiful man in that film.
He's so good looking.
He's so great in that film.
It's so crazy, and he's such a twat.
He is in that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he's
not,
like-
he's not a good bloke.
He's not like a bad bloke, but he's not a good bloke.
He scales that line.
He scales it because it's like obviously Robin Williams is like a little like
He's supposed to be the good guy. He's a good guy, bad guy.
but he's taken this too far.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Like I mean, it opens and he's got a
Well,
zoo.
he dressed up as a woman. Of course, he's taking
my
it
point.
too far.
Dude, he opens and he's like throwing a birthday party with like farm animals in the house. I'm like, yeah, no shit, she's divorcing you.
Oh,
dude.
really? I don't.
Can
remember
you
the beginning of
imagine
it.
if you just brought farm animals into the house for your kid's 12th birthday?
But if you
they're
look at the house
running
they've got-
outside the house.
But if you look at the house they've got, even like if you tried to buy that house now, that is millions and millions
It's
of
just-
dollars.
it's in San Francisco.
It's excessive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's unbelievable.
well, the point being, like the donkey can't be in it either way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
it's like
The donkey. There's no way to talk about Robin Williams.
And so I'm like, like yes, this guy's kind of a rich prick who just like is very into himself, obviously. But I'm also like, fair enough. Like this guy is a bit of a loose cannon.
Saying that though, he can't be the rich one in that relationship because if you remember when he gets kicked out, he goes to this like tiny little apartment. I mean, like tiny. in
No,
terms
no,
of,
I'm
like-
talking about Pierce Brosnan.
No, I get it, but like it's clear the wife who wears the pants in that relationship between her and Robin Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just how divorces go when the mom gets the
Maybe.
kids and the house. Like that's
Maybe. Well,
you
not
know?
if the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard
They
trials
don't
go.
have- they don't have
and
kids.
go by.
Thank God.
Oh,
Thank
wowza.
God they don't have kids.
Yeah,
he has literally become Jack Sparrow.
in real life.
Yes, like
yeah.
he is Jack Sparrow.
He's breaking down into that human being. I feel.
It's happened.
Yeah,
This is like, this is it now.
he's really funny in court though. Like I have.
Yeah, he's playing Jack
He
Sparrow.
is
Like you watch those
playing-
videos, he's
yeah.
like literally just like
Where's the
cracking
rum gun?
jokes, Yeah.
But yeah, good movies. What's next on there, Robin Williams?
So I watched that one.
You gonna watch Flubber anytime soon?
I was down to watch Flubber,
I might
but
come-
I'm kind of like also like fuck. Will Flubber actually be good?
I might come
It
watch
kind
that
of
with
feels
you.
like it's something like I thought was good. Then and
Back
when
in
I
the
rewatch,
day?
it's gonna be
Yeah.
not good.
I feel like that it's got a similar vibe to like a Space Jam. Like everyone remembers Space Jam being amazing, but if you watch it now, you'd be like, oh, that's actually a bit shit.
It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like I actually think Mrs. Doubtfire was a fucking funny movie.
Yeah, it's a great
like
movie.
a fucking great performance. And it's kind of ahead of its time. It was like, although there's a lot of jokes in there that like would not fly.
not
now.
hold up today.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
You find that a lot with 90s cinema though.
Yeah. And
What year was that in? You keep talking.
it was I don't know. I think it was sometime in the 90s. It was there was like a lot of stuff about like just like a gay couple that is his brother.
Yeah.
And so they're very involved and like it's a lot of show tunes and
1993.
Like, it's just very very like it's not watered down.
Yeah.
It's like for a family movie, it's not watered down, which is like
Yeah.
you don't get that much of.
It's interesting.
Like in films these days. I don't
Yeah, but also it's some pretty terrible stereotypes. Like they're not good. Like,
I mean, it's not really like a crazy stereotype back then in the 90s to say that like the gay people were in San Francisco. Like
no.
And
What I mean
might have
is,
been in like theater. Like that's actually not a bad stereotype. It's pretty accurate.
I just mean
I did
general-
theater as a kid, bro. At like 90% of the guys there ended up actually being.
You misconstrued what I'm saying. I
Okay.
mean, in 90s cinema, there are some awful stereotypes.
Oh, in general,
gay
yes.
stereotypes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
like
yes.
we actually watched randomly the outtakes from Rush Hour. Have you seen them? The end of Rush Hour 1, 2, and
Yeah,
3
the
is
funniest shit.
yeah,
well,
it's
I never
hilarious.
saw 3 actually, but
no, I don't. It's bad.
Yeah.
The outtakes are funny though.
it's like the only highlight.
Yeah, literally. There's a scene in the second one when they arrive in Las Vegas and Jeremy Piven is playing a gay designer.
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven,
Crocodile shoes.
bad bloke. Yeah, and it's like ad-libbing like some of the lines, and it's like, as this stereotype, it's quite funny to look back at and go, oh,
Yeah.
that wouldn't fly these days.
Yeah. Do we not like Jeremy Piven now?
I think he got Me Too'd or something along those lines.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a bad bloke.
I mean, the Me Too thing was like such a whirlwind. You're like, I don't even like.
Who's
didn't it-
involved in this?
Yeah, and like Aziz got Me Too, and then I like read it. I was like, well, I mean, that was kind of weird.
I thought
I don't know if that's a full Me Too. He
Yeah,
pulled his dick out a little too early, but she still hung out. Like,
I feel like that was a weird one.
he tried the naked man trick, basically.
When we
That's what he tried to do.
we were watching How I Met Your Mother, funnily enough, as you
Yeah.
mentioned it.
He tried it.
Come on, what else have you been up to?
I don't. Where was I?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Outer Rim, still digging it. Adam Project, watched half of it. I mean, it's like, it's better than like
It's passable fun.
It's better than Red Notice so far.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think, but also it's like this classic time movie where it's like, no, this actually makes sense.
Anything's better than Red Notice. That was a bad movie.
was
We
bad.
talked about it. Go back and listen to our podcast on it.
Yeah, plug for Red Notice. Fantastic Beasts, because Gail wants to watch the other one in theaters and realize she has to watch the other two.
Oh, so you watching the originals?
Just the first one, yeah.
I saw them in cinema.
And the American guy's all right. That's about it. And the girl that he's into is kind of like, she's a good actress. What else is she in? So the witch that can read minds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's beautiful as well.
What's she called in the film?
I don't remember any names.
I don't.
But she's in love with a muggle who's like this New York baker.
Who's the
He's all right.
bakery
Yeah,
boy? We'll call him Bakery Boy.
Baker boy.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Gingerbread man.
Bakery Boy.
He's all right. He accepts all this wizard stuff way too quickly.
Queenie.
Yeah,
Queenie
Queenie is very accepting
Yes.
of the wizarding world. I'd be like,
Queenie
bro, this
and
is
Jacob.
blowing my mind.
I'm trying to think what Queenie is in. I'm looking at her IMDb now, and I don't know any of these things.
Well, she's good looking and she's in something else that I can't quite place. But Adam Project, Fantastic Beasts, Doubtfire. At one point, we tuned into a rom-com called "What's Your Number," that has that blonde chick that's in every rom-com from the '90s. I forget her name.
Rachel McAdams.
No, because she's more than just a '90s rom-com chick.
Oh, she's
I'll
everywhere.
look it up right now. But it also has our favorite Captain America.
Our favorite Captain America.
Well, of the two.
Of how many? Anthony Mackie?
No, Chris Hems. I always mix up the Chris. Chris is Chris Pine.
You mean Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. Literally all of
You
them.
literally went
Look at
through
this.
all three.
The Chris Pines, because I literally couldn't figure it out. I was like, they're all four right here. He's in it, and it's like in the '90s, and he looks the same, except maybe he got hair plugs because his hair looked thinner.
Evans.
Yeah,
Evans did. I think he wears a wig in a lot of the Avengers movies. He wears a wig.
you reckon?
Yeah, no, he
Okay.
does. He does. Yeah.
That adds up. But even even looks like thinner than like Knives Out.
I think he's just like whatever. I think he doesn't care. I think like now he's just like, I'm a dude, so what? Like it's gonna get thin.
No, I'm talking about this.
Oh, you
this
mean
was
looks thin
before?
in that movie?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
like-
you did then.
So I'm like, maybe something happened. But point being, he's in this, and he just looks the exact fucking same.
Is it a good movie?
And
Is it
it's like
worth
10
watching?
years- I mean, it's a crappy rom-com where he's like a really arrogant fuckboy, but it's
Standard.
It's interesting to see. I just like him as an actor. He kind of plays the same
He
dude
is-
in everything, though,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Oh, I don't know. He's got really good.
Other than
range.
Captain America.
Have you ever
That's
seen?
very different.
Have you ever seen Losers? We'll have to talk about that on the podcast one time. It's a very funny
Loser. Is it
movie.
just like a rom-com as well?
No. It's I'm not even going to describe it to you. We should just watch it and talk about it on the podcast. It's very funny.
Adding to watch list.
Got a heist element to it. It's great. I've been on to a couple of fun
yeah, well, I was
things
gonna,
this week.
what else, man? What have you seen?
Dude, I've got 3 movies this week to talk to you about.
3.
I don't know if you've I don't know if you might have seen one of them, and it might be the one that I'm hoping you've seen. So I first also we wanted just like some action nonsense. It was like a Thursday night. It was like just put a movie on,
Yes.
and we found a movie called Old Guard. It's like a Netflix movie. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's got I'm never gonna say her name right. Charlize Theron. Is that how you say it?
That is how you say
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. Anyway, it's got her in it, and it's based on a graphic novel by a dude, Greg Rucka. And basically, the sort of blurb is it's a group of mercenaries who are all kind of immortal, and they're all like centuries and centuries old. And it's about the fact that one of them starts to lose their ability to heal, so they're effectively losing their immortality as the movie goes on. While they've learned that there is a new one of these immortals in the world, there's this whole plot around corporations trying to take them to utilize their immortality. It's actually quite some of it's quite interesting, but at the end of the day, it's kind of forgettable. Like I couldn't tell you the majority of the subtle parts of the plot. Like there's action. There's the guy who plays Dudley Dursley in the Harry Potter films, who's the bad guy. Literally, that's all I can remember. And Charlize Theron's great in this.
Sounded like it was going to be Deathloop at the start, and then it took a turn.
No, but there is a fun bit at the beginning where they all walk into a room and have all been betrayed, and they all get like the hell blown out of them by like miniguns on the wall and stuff. It's great.
What else, man? What's number 2?
I got another one that I think you'll really like.
Okay.
Have you seen Palm Springs?
I've been to Palm Springs. It's massively overrated. If you don't like golf, there's not much there.
Oh, it's a great movie. Yeah. So this I think is a Netflix movie as well. It is the dude from Brooklyn Nine-Nine whose name I'm forgetting all of a sudden. It's Andy Samberg.
Yes.
And it's the chick who was the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
And it's effectively Groundhog Day meets Brooklyn Nine-Nine humor. It's so funny. You should definitely, you will really like this. It's very funny.
I really like him anyway.
Yeah, so. He's hilarious.
Although that other movie he did with like what was it, like the Hustle or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Where he's like a stunt guy.
Oh yeah, everyone loves that film. I'm not.
It's a bit overrated.
Yeah, it's big overrated.
Yeah,
I've never
hot.
Yeah,
something I don't know. What's this one called again? Sorry,
Way Springs.
How could I forget?
So good. Like
Palm Springs isn't memorable. That's how I could forget.
That's right. Look, the black comedy in it is. It's way up my alley. It's perfect. It's so sarcastic.
Stuck in a time loop.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
Time loop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Well, yeah. There's a lot of that in it too, which kind of links to the games you're playing at the minute. So, this one for me was like probably one of my favorite off the wall movies. Oh, it might be on Amazon actually. It's one of my favorite off the wall movies that I hadn't seen and just kind of went, you know what? I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
And the last thing I watched this week, third and final movie before we move on. I got to watch the new Nicolas Cage movie. And I know we briefly talked about this before the show, but just for the listeners, the new Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, this is probably my favorite comedy in the last 5 years. It is delightful. It's amazing. It's such a...
Wow, bold
it's huge. It's seriously meta, mate. You would love it.
Some bold statements.
It's like... For context for anyone who doesn't know, essentially what happens is Nick Cage he's a failing actor. Oh, the irony. And but he's playing himself, right? So he's playing this failing actor who's offered $1 million to go to this superfans island and essentially just be himself in this superfans like party. And it turns out this superfan is apparently a like massive, he's just evil basically. Like he's part of the cartel. And the CIA recruit Nick Cage to do all this stuff, and he leverages his like movie, and there's loads of movies and there's loads of references to them for how he gets out of situations. It is beautiful.
It's so well done. Seen all his movies?
Not at all. But I mean, it only really touches them topically. Like, so they'll make a reference about how he can do donuts in a car and Gone in 60 Seconds, for example. And it's just chef's kiss. It's beautiful. So the highlight of the film for me is, and it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. Pedro Pascal, who's this bad guy, and Nick Cage, they take LSD, they take acid to try and free their minds so they can write a script together. Mm-hmm. And there's this scene where they think they're being followed in the local town. They're in Mallorca. Mm-hmm. And they run away, and they're like freaking out. They're like, they're following us. We got to get away from them. And they get to this wall. And you can watch the trailer like it's in it. They get to this wall.
They jump off.
And Nick Cage jumps onto the top of the wall, and they're trying to get away from these guys, but he's not strong enough to pull Pedro Pascal on. It's this like real like dramatic scene, like I miss you, I love you, and he's like, go without me and all that. And Pedro Pascal is like at the bottom like crying, and then Nick Cage jumps down to the side and he's like, really gutted. He's like, this guy go, and then the guy just kind of walks around to the side of the wall. The wall's only like 10 foot wide. So he just like, it's beautiful. Highly recommend. One thing I wanted to ask you though quickly was, I mentioned last week I jumped on the Super Smash Bros. Podcast.
Yeah. I listened.
What do you think?
Yeah, it was good. Good to hear you on another podcast, and I liked the analysis. A lot of jabs at me being unprepared.
Oh wow!
So
it's
I don't
out.
know how I feel about that. But
you'll have to go on one of their podcasts. And,
I guess there's always someone. Yeah. But yeah, the boys it was a good show they had. Yeah.
Yeah, we briefly touched on this movie, and I wondered if there was a movie star who you would like to see do a similar thing, where they had to bring out some of their old movie roles to get out of situations.
Okay, that's hard.
It's a loaded question. I can give you one to
that's like hard off the cup because I feel like there's probably so many good answers.
Oh, so many good answers.
And I'm just gonna name like the first one that comes to my head.
What's the first one that comes to head?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, great. That would be that would be hilarious.
Like, only because it's probably
Total Recall
last week, which we talked about last week. Yeah.
I was thinking about this during the week, and I came up with the idea of what if Samuel L. Jackson had to play multiple characters from his back catalogue. It would be, I mean, like, they would be very
just
similar.
A bunch of black guys with guns yelling. Like that's the role he plays in a lot of, it's just like the dude with the gun yelling.
Yeah, but imagine if Snakes on a Plane dude with a gun had to meet...
There's not enough variety.
No, had to meet, like, Pulp Fiction guy with a gun, you know what I mean? Like, it would be beautiful. Look, moving on. I know we've talked a lot, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking about what we've been up to this week.
What have we heard?
What have you heard this week, DL? Have you heard any? This is the section of the show where we basically go into some vague news bits that we enjoy the sound of.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's so much news. We're gonna try and streamline a little bit.
I'll try and avoid the ones that all fall into the same kind of bucket of Disney Marvel Cinemaverse.
We can talk about that first if you want. We can talk about CinemaCon.
Let's just start with a bang. Dude.
CinemaCon happened.
Yeah, which I didn't even know was a thing. I don't know what
Me neither.
Is. But I just saw there was a lot of news.
How we didn't know this, I'm not sure. Basically, CinemaCon is an event like a Comic-Con or any sort of con where a bunch of people go and sit in theaters and whoop a lot. Apparently, there's a lot of whooping, and they show off the movies that are coming up. And this year, there's been stalls for everyone. There's been Sony, there's been Warner Brothers, there's been Disney, and we have got some primo content.
Children whooping. Whoop,
we got some primo content. So first and foremost, let's do a couple. There was Venom 3 has been announced. Yay. The Batman 2 was announced with Matt Reeves and Rob Pattinson returning. Woo!
Yay! That's an actual yay.
How about this? You rate these on a whoop scale. So how loud would you whoop for these if you heard them in the CinemaCon? So
which one?
Okay, we'll start with the Venom 3.
Cricket.
You gotta give it some. No, you were at a con. You got to give it some whoops.
I mean, like a whoop, yeah.
What about the Batman 2?
Whoop whoop whoop.
For me, that's a big woo.
Yeah.
And then we got a whole host of Disney stuff. I'm gonna pick a couple out that aren't MCU first. So first and foremost, we got the Avatar sequel. That's got a date of 16th of December and a name. The Way of Water. How many whoops for that? It's not even crickets. It's just a meh. All right. How about Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear movie, which is coming out on June 17? I'm quite psyched for that. Yeah. Brilliant. And finally, before we talk about some of the MCU stuff, Indiana Jones 5 is coming out on May 30, 2023.
I can't help but whoop.
Woo!
Yeah, I can't help but whoop, even though I know it's gonna be bad.
Whoop whoop. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
How nerdy are we? Whoop whoop.
We're pretty. Well, look, we're at a con here, right?
This is very lame.
We're at a fake con.
This whooping is.
I'm gonna give you a couple of quick MCU bits that have been announced as well. So we knew these had been announced, but these have got now dates. So Black Panda, Wakanda Forever.
Did you say Black Panda? What a film.
Yeah, it's like a mix between Kung Fu Panda and Black Panther.
I was literally imagining a black, Jack Black as a panda.
Stop. Let me go through this super quick. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is coming out November 11th this year. We, of course, have The Marvels, which is February 17th next year, 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be May 5th, 23. And the final one we got was Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which is 28th of July, 2023.
God, these were announced so long
Give me some woos.
Oh, yay!
Woos!
Yay!
And you know what I was gonna preface this by saying, for once, we're not just getting unnamed sequels.
Unnamed Project 4.
Yeah. I'm excited for all of these.
7.
I'm excited for all of these, except for The Little Mermaid, which was announced too. or Venom 3.
What is it, like a live action?
It's a live action one. Yeah. They announced it ages ago.
Well, like, dude, these movies been announced forever ago. Like, it's crazy how long it took for some of these to come out.
And I mean, they plan the roadmap well in advance, right?
No, I know, but like, even I think that COVID probably delayed it.
Oh, loads
like,
of it. Yeah.
quite a bit.
I wonder how much of
Feels
this
like
would already
a year
be out.
ago. All this would have been out, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
At least some of it. Look, moving on from that. CinemaCon was a big woo in my eyes. Woo! I don't know. I'd like to go one day to a con.
Would you?
No, not really. It's too much.
I just don't know.
I don't think I've got the amount of woos in me. I mean, right now, you don't have any woos. Your voice is completely gone.
Very little woos to give. No, I guess it would be cool. Like, I just think I'd rather go to a film festival.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like if I'm gonna go to like some kind of.
What would
festival.
you go to? Cannes is really wanky.
I've heard what's the one?
Sundance.
Yeah,
I've heard
that
Sundance
one's
is good.
And it's like snowing, and you can go snowboarding too.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. All I really think about that is when I think of Sundance is that episode of Entourage.
Yeah, that's literally what I was just
He
imagining.
gets a call.
First one on the mountain, bro.
Who's the dude who did Titanic again? I forgot his name.
James Cameron.
He got a call from James Cameron. He's like on the slopes. He's
You
like,
want to be Aquaman?
everything's working out, bros.
Yeah.
That's the worst show of all time.
No,
We should do an episode on
Quite
that.
good. I love that show.
Right, moving on then. Have you heard this week? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, sadly, or not so sadly, depending on your point of view, has been pushed from October 22 to June 2023. Now, part of me is upset because I want to see that movie sooner. Part of me knows that they screened the first 15 minutes at CinemaCon, and there's a part of me that says, I'm kind of happy that they're not crunching this movie out. They're just trying to do it right and get as much Oscar Isaac as possible, hopefully, because I love that guy.
Which one did he play? The original Spider-Man?
No, he played the
blonde
future,
one?
the future Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's a post-credit scene at the end of the film in Spider-Man 2099. But he goes back and he recreates the famous meme with Spider-Man pointing at each other.
Yeah, too many Spider-Mans these days. It's hard to keep up.
This is a good one. This is
hard to keep up.
This is the best one. I'm excited for
No,
that
I'm down
movie.
for it. I'm just saying. It's like I don't remember
How
who
many
voiced
woos?
who.
How many woos are you giving it?
I triple woo.
One of your favorite Chris's was in the original. Chris Pine. He's the Spider-Man who dies at the beginning.
Yeah, multiverse
Star
of
Trek.
madness of
Yeah,
Chris's.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah.
I don't
You
fucking.
could do like a
There's
Chris
too many.
Would you have any news this week, DL?
I had a couple things that you missed. Well, you apparently announced before as we were talking about this. Netflix is fucked, and that's a piece of news which I don't entirely.
You know, Netflix is knackered,
entirely agree with that, but.
What?
But yeah, apparently they just had they had a bad quarter, man. It happened.
They lost a ton of viewers, and it's apparently they're forecast to lose 2 million more in the US alone.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
I think we're basically going back to like a cable model, right? Everyone
I
has
just think
their own streaming
their
service.
stock's gonna drop, but
Everyone's stock is dropping.
They'll
right
be
now.
fine. Yeah, it's just a mature company, or a
Where do they
growth
go?
company
Yeah.
that is now mature.
Yeah, and my question is like, my point is I don't think they've got anywhere else they can go, but also because a lot of other channels are taking their content back to have on their own streaming platforms.
Yeah,
We're just going to end up with like a cable again,
I think,
except
well,
digital.
but it's like a way better cable because you have like way more choice.
Oh, you can see everything from across
I
the
think what
world
we're
too.
finding is like streaming just isn't that great of a business model. Like it's not it's good. It's just not like a tech company. It's a cable. It's like a decoupled cable company.
Sure.
Right? There's less infrastructure. It's not as big a thing, but it's really easy these days to create like a streaming service. And like, I guess like maybe none of them have as cool of an algorithm or as good of a feel and user experience as Netflix. Cause you know, when you're going through binge, man, it kind of fucking sucks. Like you hit back and you just wanted to go back and it takes you all the way back to the home screen. You're like, what the fuck's happening? Why is this thing tweaking? It doesn't happen on Netflix, but are you really going to like pay an extra $10 a month because of that? Probably not.
Well, the interesting point that I was trying to make
that's
there,
their differentiator.
No, the interesting point I was trying to make there was that Netflix is losing a ton of content. So you think the things that people used to buy Netflix for, your Office USs, your Friends, stuff like that, Seinfeld, they're taking them all off because the companies are making their own streaming services. So now it's just going to be, is their own IP strong enough to bring new people in and keep people there? And for the most part, I'd probably say no.
I think that they saw this coming a long time ago. That's why they started making their own content.
Yeah, of course.
And that's why they're getting into gaming. And I think that Netflix is a company that's reinvented itself 4 times, and it's really hard to bet against companies. Like they'll find a way to survive. They may not, their stock might not do great, but I still think Netflix has got a strong future.
I think they're on the way out. They're going the way of Blockbuster.
No, I sincerely disagree with that.
Look, guys, if there's any news we haven't mentioned, hit us up at Podcast Assemble on Instagram, fire us a message, tag us in a post, let us know what it is. We will read it out next week. A bunch of the news this week came from various people. The Spider-Man news came from friend of the show, Luke. Final bit of news before we move on to our main topic, DL.
Yes.
Did you hear this week that the House of the Dragon, the budgets, have been reported?
Who reports this, by the way? The accountant?
I don't know. I feel like someone... do you think they leak them? Do you think they're like, our show's the most expensive one?
I just don't know if that's like something to be proud of. Is it?
I don't think so.
And so it's like the accountants.
It's crazy.
Maybe there's just like this like secret society of accountants who are like, we need to get like they get paid by like somebody to like
Maybe
release
that's
the books.
really fucking weird.
I'm just trying to figure out how this happens.
Someone's paying someone to get some information on to get those big headlines. So this season, the first season of House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones spin-off, as we all know, is apparently being budgeted at 20 million per episode. Now, for comparison, the final season of Game of Thrones was 15 million per episode.
That's shocking.
Which is mental.
That's literally the main topic's film. That's like 3 episodes.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Now, if you want another mental stat, apparently the new series of Stranger Things is being costed at 30 million per episode. So season 4
they're just like
is
fuck
going nuts.
They're like, we're ending this with a bang.
They really are. Well, I think they're going to do season 5 and then finish. We talked about it the other week.
Well, that is one thing you can say about Netflix. It's like, why are you spending so much when like some of the best shit isn't that expensive?
I thought, the first
Even
season
the
of Stranger
first season
Things
wouldn't have been that expensive.
It would have been so cheap.
Yeah, you would think. I don't know. I'm just.
I had this weird thought about
from the hip.
Yeah, I had this weird thought about Stranger Things earlier, and I was thinking about how can it end, right? So there's going to be an ending. We know that next season's the final season.
Wow, there's going to be an ending.
Well,
we do know that.
You tell me. I was wondering if. Do you not think? I mean, and it would be a little bit weird because it's how the first season ended. But the only way they can close the rift for good is if 11 goes in and stays in. Like that's the ending. It's like a sad. I mean, it would be for Mike.
Into the darkness.
Yeah, the upside down.
The darkness.
What do you reckon?
Johnny Murphy. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, yeah, because she's just like never gonna fit in, is she?
No.
I mean, we're at season.
Especially with that.
We're
weird,
at season
weird
3,
voice.
and she just can't talk still. She still talks like this.
Mike,
like
lie?
Like lies? Like just repeats everything slowly.
Yeah.
That the person before her said.
Yeah. Really bad 80s trope as well.
Yeah. Honestly, it bugs me now.
Yeah. I hope by this new season she's at least trying to form full sentences.
Yeah. No, I could see that happening.
Yeah, undermine the end of the first season, to be perfectly honest.
Why? Because what happened in the first season?
Because at the end of the first season, she like disappears, and you think like because they didn't know if they were getting a second season, the idea was that she closes the rift and sends whatever it is back in, the Demogorgon back in, and to do so, she has to essentially sacrifice herself.
Yes.
And then at the beginning of the second season, she's just back. She's just there.
I mean, I could see that happening, or I mean, I'd be keen to like see what inspires them. Like how do all those 80s movies like Back to the Future and all the Steven Spielberg movies, how do those end? They usually end on a happy note.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be pretty surprised that they didn't end it that like similarly, because it's very inspired by that ilk of.
I'd be surprised, but at the same time, it would be very nice if something different happened in TV for once. That might make my Netflix subscription last a little bit longer, maybe. Look, moving on from the news, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
Yeah, we're talking about the Southman.
The South Woman.
The South Woman.
the Northman.
The Southerly Woman.
A24 are back, baby.
Yeah, A24 is the Northman, which is if you've seen the trailers, it looks just like your classic revenge flick, right? So with that, do you want to?
But no, it's time for DL to get heady. Everyone, it's one of those episodes.
Well, there's a lot of mythology, but I'm not going to express myself to be a Nordic expert. Nor as you know, guys, I never show up prepared. So
no.
And if you listen, I didn't suddenly just learn about Nordic.
If you listen to the Super Smash Bros. Episode, I'm pretty sure you're not even equipped to talk about things.
Equipped.
All right. Just before we get into it, we will be doing spoilers and then non-spoilers. So to start with, we like to do our stupid plot summary. Yeah. Do you have one?
I do. I don't actually summarize the plot at all. It was more so just realizing. Anyway, I'll just say it. Tempting the fates, Alexander Skarsgård does the impossible. He finally reads the script before signing up to the movie. The twist, doing so produces an above-average Viking shroom trip.
It's very
Have
spot
you seen
on.
his back catalog?
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, mate, we'll
Wasn't
get into
he
it.
in like True Blood or something?
That's one of the high points.
Wow. All right, I'll give you mine. Beowulf with bad posture is a CrossFit bro on a simultaneous revenge mission and acid trip with more weird Nordic singing than Zack Snyder's Justice League.
There is a lot of Nordic.
There is so much Nordic singing
in both
this.
of those movies. I forgot that they had that in Justice League.
Justice League, Zack Snyder's one just went a bit weird at the end there, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right, can you tell
Both
me before we
accurate.
get into this, what do you think the IMDb score is for this right now?
7, 8.
Oh, 7.9.
Hmm.
You were very close. What about Rotten Tomatoes? It's a percentage.
That'd be like 84.
It's 89.
Really? Yeah.
Now for the divisive one, can you guess?
60, 74.
It's not. It's very high this week. It's 81.
Really?
So this is probably one of the highest rated Metacritic movies we've
that's
ever
crazy.
done.
Metacritic, I honestly always just guess.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I'm guessing all this.
Literally no.
All three of them are guesses.
You can get an idea though.
Yeah.
Like you can. I mean, like you.
But Metacritic is just it's so hit or miss. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is directed by Robert Eggers, he's an A24 alum, right? He's big for these guys. He directed Lighthouse and Vivitch.
Yeah,
whatever
Lighthouse.
it's called.
Lighthouse, which I wanted you to watch, and you said it was too weird, and I think it is actually pretty
It's
weird.
very odd. Apparently, they just filmed like a bunch of random scenes and chucked them all together.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, great, cool. Well, anyway, this has
Willem
got.
Dafoe filming random scenes.
Well, speaking of Willem Dafoe, he's
Yeah.
in this movie.
Barely.
So this has Willem Dafoe. It's got Alexander Skarsgård. It's got Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, Anya Taylor-Joy. Bjork's in this. I didn't realize, and the Mountain from Game of Thrones in this. So it's got a stacked cast.
Is that the guy playing the game?
I don't have a
wow.
clue.
I think it was.
Wow. Look,
Wow.
I think we've got a real contender for Goofy IMDb picks this week. I told you I was going to bring you on.
Mate,
I told you
I thought
I was
that it
going to
was-
bring you on.
I thought it was going to be one of the main guys based off of the because spoilers. I
Could
guess.
easily be.
Yeah.
Look, we have our current MVP who is, as the last 3 weeks, so this is his 4th week, is Adam Darlington,
Yes.
who played NY homeless man
Yes.
in his terrible Snapchat selfie.
Yes.
Which I think this week his opponent is the picture you would receive after getting that selfie, which is Alexander Skarsgård.
Yeah, thank you. For once, we're getting a name. We're getting a main lead
Yeah,
as
yeah.
their IMDb. And
This is fantastic nonsense.
It is fair to question why this is his picture. He's in tidy whities with a tuxedo top, like with no pants, but the shoes are still there.
He's all business up top
yeah.
and party down below.
Exactly, but tidy whities.
I
And
think that is an absolutely nonsense IMDb picture. That's the
for
epitome
somebody as big as he is,
of
yeah.
goofy IMDb
Yeah,
picks.
I think he wins.
I think
But-
he's got to.
But he also maybe is just really proud of his thighs.
Well, you'd surely take it after this movie if he was that proud of his thighs, because he was massive
Yeah, he
in
was
the
fucking
Northman.
yoked. But
He
his posture,
was
his poor
yo-
posture was quite
I
poor.
called it out. I called it out in my stupid plot summary. He's
yeah.
got bad posture.
Yeah, what's up with that?
He's just like hunched the whole
Or
time.
maybe he just needs to stop doing the lat exercises.
Yeah, he has his lats
Yeah.
were bigger than his head.
Yeah, it's a problem.
What is happening?
How do you massage that out? know?
That sports massage is going to take an
Yeah.
hour just for those lats. Look,
Yeah.
let's get into this then. So talk to me. What happens in this movie?
A Nordic prince has his home and family taken from him, and in his pursuit to avenge,
The revenge tale.
fate will force him into a harrowing choice.
A heroin, Joyce? I hope not.
Not heroin. Harrowing.
Harrowing.
A harrowing choice. Yeah, it's like just
It's what the trailer says, right?
yeah, it's pretty much what the trailer says.
So
Minus a couple curves and twists.
Yeah, my problem with these movies now is like, and I am, so we've talked about A24 a bunch of times. They're this film studio who produce these really wacky, very interestingly shot, interestingly directed movies that always have some sort of twist in them.
Well, they
Or
just
twist-
always get advertised a bit differently than they
Yes.
are, which I'm starting to like about them.
Yeah, me too. But then at the same time, it's sort of taking away from my viewing experience because I'm sat there going, "What's the twist going to be?" Like I'm not just sat and taking the film in. I'm like, "What am I waiting for?"
But it's
here?
not always like a twist. It's all sometimes it's just like poorly advertised. Like there's like the Green Knight didn't really have a twist. It just wasn't what it was advertised as.
Yeah, okay. That's
This
fair.
had a twist.
Yeah, okay, fair. All right, no, I'll give you that.
You know what I mean?
I think with this though, I was waiting for that. I said to you at the beginning. The
did,
first
yeah.
thing I said to you was, "What's
Because it was
gonna be?"
advertised as such a simple movie that
Yes.
wouldn't have one, right?
Now, now, really quickly for context, when we went to see this movie, we went with both our partners and one of your partner's friends,
which was like
none of which have any interest in this kind of movie
just had no context at all.
Yeah,
Like,
at all.
about what they were getting into. And one thing neither of our stupid plot summaries touched on is this movie's fucking brutal.
We're going to talk about that. We are
Like-
absolutely. It's brutal.
It's brutal.
But
They're
like,
animals.
I asked my partner, I said, look, we're going to see this movie. Do you want to come? And she just said, yeah. And I said, all right, do you want to watch the trailer first? And she went, nah, I think I've seen it. And I went, I don't know if you have.
It's so funny because my conversation went the exact same, except she didn't even ask for the trailer, which never happens. I think
Wow.
she really was just like, I haven't seen my partner that much this week. I want to hang out with him. And it's a very kind thought, but like, this is the one time where she should have asked some questions.
Yeah.
She should have asked some questions.
And this was not only brutal, a long movie. Like this was, we're going to talk about pacing in a bit, but look, so he goes on, like Alexander Skarsgård starts as a young bowl cut boy. That's what he is. He's a bowl cut boy. He sees his father murdered after going on some weird acid trip. And then he goes off into the world and becomes a big wolf man, and then finds out about his father's murderer has moved on and goes to seek his revenge. That's the basic plot summary of this, right? Like that's kind of what goes down. But there's so much depth to this movie. Like you talked about it being brutal before, and there are so many layers. Like everyone in this movie is a fucking awful person. Like all of them. Like the toxic masculinity in this is just seeping through every moment of it. Like every bloke in this is just horrible. They're all raised to be disgusting, and I get it. Like
I guess like
it's
you're
in
comparing a time. Like you got to take it for what the time period is, right? Like,
and it's funny saying that as like a white middle class man in 2022. But
this is the world that they lived in. Right?
Exactly.
If you were like, "Oh, guys, we should stop doing this," you just got killed.
Sorry, but that's
Like-
that's what I mean when
Yeah.
when I was looking for this big differentiation, and like none of these people were heroines or you know what I mean. Like there was no hero arcs.
No.
It was just, this is a brutal world and this is how you survive.
Yeah.
And I really liked that, and it was different. Not many movies are like that nowadays.
Well, it was just I think what they talked a lot about it. The director, what is his name again?
Eggers.
Eggers and Alexander talked a lot about how they wanted to make like a true, like not like the essential Viking movie.
Yeah.
Like there was like not like didn't, I guess, sugarcoat things. Wasn't the Netflix Vikings.
Yeah, it really
You know
isn't.
what I mean?
It really
Like,
isn't.
Where it's like this like beautiful, like romantic kind of like soap opera-y
Romanticized,
like movie. Like, no, this is what life was.
That's the word I think I was maybe looking for. None of it's romanticized.
Yeah.
None of it, like at all. And it's great. And you get that from the very beginning, like the fact that Ethan Hawke, who plays Alexander Skarsgård's father, comes back from whatever war he's been fighting. And the first thing he does, it's not, reconnect with his partner, his wife. It's to take his son on this weird acid trip and make him swear vengeance if anything ever happens to him.
Yeah.
Almost like he knew what the plot was going to do. But like, I find that so interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
All the way through. Now, really quickly then, this is loosely based on the story of Amleth, who appears in the history of the Danes, written sort of circa 1200. I'm assuming that's BC. And Amleth actually went on to inspire Hamlet, though we don't know if Shakespeare actually read that. But this is effectively Hamlet,
This
right?
does so. I'm gonna
Screams Hamlet.
dude. I'm gonna credit somebody, Mark Kermode from the Guardian.
Yeah.
Not that anyone's auditing me, but he said it was Beowulf meets Hamlet, and it's fucking accurate.
I said Beowulf in my
It's fucking accurate.
stupid plot summary, but that's
It's
what
exactly
that was
what this is.
precisely. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
well said.
And it's not quite Hamlet, but it's got a lot of the essential parts of
The
it.
tone is like or like Macbeth even, like in a different way, just because there's so much heady stuff in Macbeth as well.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it marries like the three of them. But
It's just like a Shakespearean thing with an old English like war tale, like which is what Beowulf is.
yeah, and I really liked all of it. So what did you like surrounding this weird plot? Like what did you think of the performances?
It's an ambitious movie with some ambitious performances.
Yeah, big time.
Like everybody went for it.
Skarsgård does really good crazy eyes.
He does. It's when he talks that things kind of fall apart.
When that mouth opens.
Yeah, but like, sorry, I gotta give this guy shit. I haven't done it yet. Literally, this guy's fucking catalog is Legend of Tarzan. Which, by the way, he was ripped in that too. The guy can get ripped.
He is he's
he can get fucking
huge
ripped.
in this.
Legend of Tarzan, True Blood,
Huge.
the hot when I guess lately he's been doing better. Big Little Lies and Succession are both pretty
Oh
good
yeah,
shows.
he's trying.
I haven't seen Succession, but
I always get the Skarsgårds confused, and then you realize like Bill Skarsgård's a tiny little weird one who's in It, and then Alexander's this monster who's in this film. I'm
now
like,
searching Bill Skarsgård, like as you say that.
he's the guy from It. You know the guy who plays
what,
the
the
clown?
clown?
Yeah. He's the guy who plays the clown.
What does that guy look like when he's not in the clown suit? Let's find out.
Like the clown would look if you took the makeup off the clown, basically. So
Really?
Skarsgård
That fat?
is great
Oh,
in
man.
this. He's got like really good crazy eyes. I think I'm with you. Like I don't think his like acting is great in the same way that Arnold Schwarzenegger's acting wasn't great in the 90s. Like
It's more earnest.
he struggles through a lot of the lines.
Yeah.
But he's very earnest, and I like he just threw himself into this role completely, which was really, it's disarming a little bit. It was great,
Yeah.
and I liked Willem Dafoe in this. He was wild.
Short-lived.
He was short-lived, but then he came back later on. He was
true.
like he was like a head later on, wasn't he?
Spoilers.
I don't know. Is it really? I think that's in the trailer. Anyway, yeah, as sort of this sort of half fool, half shaman thing. I thought he was really like it's fucking. Goddamn Will Dafoe, like he does what he wants.
It's like Will Dafoe is like kind of like your what's the dudes in Shakespeare? I think it is in Hamlet.
Right.
It starts with the G. Anyway, it's like the fool.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very-
he is. That's the point. That's who he is,
Yeah.
and it's interesting when you see the playoff of how he acts with Ethan Hawke's king versus the uncle who eventually kills said king.
Yeah.
Like he's a very different beast around the two of them.
Yes.
I'm not really going to talk about the uncle because I think he's just a very stoic character. Like he's fine.
I actually quite liked his performance.
I
but there wasn't a lot to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Like he was very much just for most of the film, the ire of the plot. He was the person they were all focused on. But I really liked Nicole Kidman's role in this. I thought,
Again, I think for the second week in a row,
Yeah.
the secondary female character kind of steals the performance.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and she's so multi-layered. And we're gonna get into it when we get into spoilers. But like her character, living day to day to survive, so interesting. And like we just got like tiny. She was barely in the movie.
Yeah.
And for me, I was thinking the whole time like I want to know more about that character.
Yeah.
You know.
Anya Taylor-Joy, well, she just like empowers I guess we can't talk about it yet. Anya Taylor-Joy, is that her name?
Yeah.
She was also good, pulled it off. Like nothing crazy, like kind of just knows she can play this role. Like she's got the crazy
She was
eyes.
in The Witch, so
Yeah, she was.
Is it Witch or is it The Witch? I don't know.
I think it's
I think it's supposed to be Witch.
I think it's the witch.
She's great in this in terms of she sort of plays the secondary female character. Like she's
not given all that much, but with what
No.
she's given, she does well.
she does. Although I have to call out at this point, her accent is fucking awful. It's so bad. It flips between like this odd Nordic.
I'm just not going to
Twang.
pretend like I know what a Dutch accent is.
No, it's not. She was supposed to be Icelandic, and
Whatever,
occasionally
yeah.
she'd just throw in some Scottish. I'm like, that's not Icelandic.
It sounded like she was trying to be like Finnish.
Really bad.
I don't know.
Not good.
Anyway, Gustav Lind
Okay.
plays the younger like half brother
Oh yeah,
of
okay.
our main
yeah.
character. Like the most hateable guy since Draco Malfoy.
Yeah,
Very
seriously.
good performance.
Yeah, really pointy, really
yes,
ratty.
just like the most hateable character.
Yeah.
Like such a little twat.
So I guess we can sort of talk about it because it comes at a point where you would see in the trailers. So at the point in the trailers where you're seeing Alexander Skarsgård as a grown up.
Yes.
Well, he is in real life. But as
he
as the
is.
man mountain he becomes for this movie and he starts his revenge tale, you find out that the characters have moved on, and the uncle who murdered his father has a new son, two new sons actually,
Yes.
who we'll talk about more in spoilers. But that's a big driver of the plot. as
Yeah,
you
well,
move
one of them
through.
already existed. You see him as a baby in the very beginning.
Do you? I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
he shows you his baby. He's like, my son.
I
The
didn't
brother
realize
when he introduces him, when Ethan Hawke introduces the brother, a
Right.
baby gets thrown up. That's actually his.
I
first
didn't
son.
know that. Okay.
Yeah. The crazy.
Wait,
part-
was that? Okay, go on.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, you can go.
No, it's a spoiler request.
Oh,
You
okay.
carry on.
We haven't even talked about it yet, but we've talked a lot about like the plot, but this is like seeped in mythos. Like
Big time.
it's like a very strong, like when they say they wanted to make the essential Viking movie, they didn't just want to make a brutal movie. They wanted to make it like how that brutality ties into their beliefs of how the world was created and the gods and the mythos of Nordic mythology, and it's done pretty well, I'd say.
I think this sort of fits into that sort of world building conversation, which is a good one to file into. And I really liked the world building in this. I felt part of the reason it was so good was it was incredibly beautifully shot across different locations in Scotland and Ukraine and Iceland.
Such a beautiful terrain. And it makes me want to go. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've wanted to go to Iceland for so long, and it's one of these things whereby it almost fuels the mythos of the movie and the world building it's in. Like it's not one of those distracting movies whereby I kind of likened it in my head initially to Skyfall, the James Bond film, where it's beautifully shot, it's slow paced, but then the more I think about it, the less I believe that, because the actual scenery in the background is sort of, it's adding to the world, whereas in Skyfall it's just sort of like, let's take a minute to stare at the mist. No, like it's not. You're getting a feel for where the characters are, and like the scenes where they're in like a muddy little town, you're like, oh, that's a really disgusting like feeling place. You could almost feel it under their feet. But they did really well with the budget too. So like you juxtapose these huge, beautiful, sweeping shots with times when you could tell that the budget was running thin, and like when they were doing these action scenes, they clearly just didn't have the budget for a huge action scene. So what they did was, a lot of it was panning behind a building. So you pan through a town instead of following the action. You pan behind a building and you just see like the feet, or you just hear the action happening in the foreground, or like a child would run in front, running away from the battle in front of the camera, and it just all really worked for me. I don't know how you felt.
Well, I think that it not only is it like because they didn't have the budget, I think it also just adds to the kind of franticness of it. Like that, I think that director's known for doing those. Yeah. He's done a couple of them, I think maybe in The Witch or something. I've read about it. But I love the mystique shots
as well.
Yeah, that berserker scene is like really cool.
So
where
good.
Like where you first meet our older prince and he's just a fucking badass.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, big
like,
time.
Literally just eating people.
I mean, literally,
he kills a guy and then just like bites into him.
Bites his throat.
Tom Hardy from Taboo.
But that sort of leads as well into a little bit of the action conversation as well, because the way the action is filmed ties often into where it's being filmed. So we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the final battle, they probably put a bit more budget into the final battle because it ties into exactly where they are. But the action is so well choreographed that it can carry on, and you're going to come out the other side of it. I'm pretty sure they're all one shots.
They are.
Going through those towns. So, and they do it more than once. So the scene at the very beginning, when Ethan Hawke's king gets murdered, and it's young Alexander Skarsgård, I'm not sure what the actor's called, the child bob-cut actor, is running. It looks like he's had a bowl put on his head and like shaved around.
He's so like,
yeah, he really is.
Give me a strudel, like.
But so what's happening is, the father's been killed, and then they're running through the streets, being victorious, the uncle and everyone. And at this point, he's got Nicole Kidman over his shoulder, and she's she's frantic and etc.
Yeah.
And then the child is in our side of the buildings on this side of the camera, and he's running along, and you're seeing it from his perspective, everything that's going on. You don't actually see what's happening, and I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
And that fits the action as well. So like the action scenes often fit this pattern of you don't see a lot, but it's mostly implied.
You almost like see it from his perspective. Like
it's great.
And it's his revenge story, and it's him figuring out what that means throughout the.
But is he any better than the dude who did it to him?
Well,
like that's the question.
That's where we get into tones and themes.
Yeah.
Like,
well, let's before we move on to that, then let's just quickly touch on the CGI for this. Like, I think it was pretty minimal. Like, there was obviously some for that big final battle scene.
I think there was just like some editing, and they obviously.
The one thing that really lets this movie down, and it's the same for the Green Knight that we talked about, is those weird fucking CGI animals. Why do they have them? They're awful.
Which ones was this?
In this, it had a fox that he ran after all the time.
Yeah.
It was like, stop it.
That's because like his spirit animal, and it's like, how do you make a fox listen?
Well, just... Yeah, I know. How do you make a fox listen?
It's like
the things we get into on this podcast.
You know.
But like, they don't work for me. Like, just find a different way or get a better CGI.
No, I kind of agree. It takes you out of it.
It's not good.
Yeah, and it was at night too. Like, how was it so
was
bad?
At night.
You would think it would be like look more realistic.
Crazy, absolutely mental. But then okay, let's talk tones and themes then, because we're sort of leaning on it. I feel like while we're talking about this movie, I found the tone of sort of toxic masculinity it just runs through this movie. Like I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think it's in. Well, I mean,
I think toxic masculinity has like a very, very like modern charge to it. Like, so it's like hard for me to like
I don't know.
associate it with like
I don't know though.
like a history piece. Like
I don't know though. With the
timepiece.
with the king telling his son he has to be a warrior and he has to avenge him and he has to. You're like.
That was their culture, though. That was literally their gods. That's what they said. Like, you don't go to heaven if you don't die with a sword in your hand.
That's also pretty toxic, though. Like, come on, like,
I'm not saying it's
just grow old.
It's just like toxic masculinity. It's just more like
With a sword in his hand. Is that a euphemism, Dre?
Again, I'm not a Nordic professor. I associate that with like modernity, right? So it's like hard for me to call it that. But I take your point. It's just like almost just the brutality of man.
Yeah.
And nature, because this is almost like 1 degree removed from nature.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, okay, like humans are almost worse than animals because we're smart enough to like not only just abuse each other because we have to, because it's like, because we can to survive, but because we can, and we learn that like life gets easier, right? If you can have slaves and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, we didn't talk about the slaves. Let's not go into that just yet. But I mean, revenge maybe not been the healthiest option in life.
Yes,
probably
that's
one
obvious.
as well.
It's obviously a theme. And like,
I know it's obvious, but like you have to call it out, otherwise someone's going to be like, "What about the revenge thing?"
You can let your past refine you, or you can let it define you. And if you let it define you, that kind of can potentially destroy you. Maybe not. Who knows?
Maybe not. Who knows? Before we go on, then, what are your 3 best and 3 worst about this movie? Now, the reason we do 3 best and 3 worst is for new listeners is because we want to give you some options to maybe think about reasons, maybe why you would see the movie or maybe why you wouldn't see the movie without spoiling it.
Yes,
and true. We, for some reason, do 3 of each.
That is why we do it. I'd say my first is just the performances across the board, especially the secondary actors, right? Like they just do a good job. You get good actors, and it's an ambitious movie with good actors, which is always like, those are 2 really important parts. My second would be just like the mythological elements and how they intertwine it into the plot pretty well. Yeah. Like he's still making his own choices, but you do feel as if you understand like how someone could confuse their choices for fate. Yeah. And how that like once you get your mind stuck on something like a prophecy or like where something could go, you can almost self-fulfill that. Yeah. Okay. Which I thought was like very interesting. And then just some of the like action sequences for. It's not like a blockbuster action movie by any means. Yeah. But the sequences were just really cool. Like the Hell's Gate fight on the volcano. Yeah. And the Berserker fight, which we've alluded to. It's just like really well shot.
Minimal action. I like that.
It's brutal though.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, mine are a little bit more abstract than usual, but I also like when we come up with things that are different to each other. I think often when we talk about like an ambulance or you know what I mean, like some trash movie, we just like the same things. It's like, what is there actually to like about this movie? But I've got some quite kind of almost diverse ones this time. My first one's not. It's just Alexander Skarsgård's abs.
Dude, they're fucking good. How do you get abs like that?
Steroids. My second one
must be.
You think it's at least human growth hormone? Yeah. Like he's too big. Like his shoulders are ridiculous.
Yeah, but like abs, like it's also just like how much fat you have on you. Right?
Yeah, understood. Really, but I mean, like the overall size of him and physique, it's absurd. Unnecessary. Yeah. You see him in his goofiest IMDb picture. He doesn't have that frame to him. He had to build that from somewhere. Yeah. My second one was the fact. Tried mostly to be realistic with stuff. Like, perfect example is when you meet the king at the beginning, Ethan Hawke's king, he's got a wound in his stomach. And at that point, even he knows this is pretty much it. Like, you don't come back from that in this time. Like, unless you're pretty lucky or you've got a really good healer of some description, which he probably didn't have. Mm-hmm. That's it. So that's probably part of the reason why he was so keen on going for one more battle. You know what I mean? So he could go out in style. And I like that. They tried that all the way. They tried to keep that sort of vein all the way through. Yeah. The other one was I just really like A24's take on Hollywood. They just do it different. No one has this style.
It's not even it's just like good movies. Like Hollywood now has like a bad taste in my mouth when I hear the word Hollywood.
Big time.
It's just like they're like almost independent movies that are like
well budgeted.
What used to be good Hollywood movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, agree with that. How about the ones you didn't like?
Yeah. Do you want to do your first or shall I do mine?
I'll do mine.
You go.
I liked the movie overall. It plotted in like the fourth act of 5, and I didn't really like when it devolved from this mythological like story and revenge story into like the semantics of how the revenge was going to happen. And it started, that kind of happened like in the fourth act when they were like and that was when they were like talking to each other a bit.
Yeah,
you know, him and his bae, and just the dialogue kind of pulls you out of it, and it wasn't very good either.
Yeah.
So that was kind of one of the parts where I think it stumbled. It's like worse. It's not that bad.
I wouldn't be surprised if you busted out one of the ironies. If you have not heard our Total Recall episode, go back and listen to that, because that's a throwback. Go on.
Alexander Skarsgård did his best.
Yeah, he was. That's what I mean. He was real trying.
Yeah. And then Alexander Skarsgård, like, again, hard time calling it worse, but like if I had to pick apart a person who kind of sometimes took it out, it's like kind of the same as the first one.
Sure.
When he talks too much, I didn't quite believe him anymore.
Sure.
Something about it, like, you know, I don't know what, it might have been the dialogue. It might have been just we didn't have enough time with these characters to actually make it feel legitimate, like enough like character moments, because it was always just mythos, revenge, mythos, revenge. But some of that stuff fell flat. And
I thought the kid version of him was quite eloquent. He was like he was actually an interesting character. Like, I mean, he was obviously a little wuss, but like that's the point. I'm obviously being facetious, but like he was portrayed as this like quite weak seeming child who'd been sort of mollycoddled a little bit by his mother.
They imply it. The dad says it.
Yeah, and he had a lot to him. Do you know what I mean? Like that all came through in that 15 minutes performance that he had. Whereas the Skarsgård one had the rest of the film and could just about grunt, and if he didn't do anything, if he did any more, you weren't sure what.
He was like, but he became like the personification of hate, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was like when he didn't, which was like really cool to watch, right? He became almost the thing that haunts the bad act that was committed, that was created, which in turn turns him into a monster, right? And it's just like when they broke away from that, it's like I don't know how you do that and don't lose a little steam.
Yeah,
but they did.
Okay, what's your final one?
Not enough Devoe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm with that. Yeah. I'm with that. I wish I'd had that.
His like his couple key moments were very good.
He's got such a unique face. I love that man.
That's crazy.
Super quickly, mine then are, I think you kind of touched on it, but challenges with pacing. We were going to touch on it more a minute ago, but like there's just half an hour, 20 minutes too much of this movie. Like you kind of touched on what I thought of. You could have cut out like 15, 20 minutes of the revenge. Just hint at it. Like they did such a good job of hinting at the action all the way through. And then all of a sudden you've got to see him stabbing a dude in his bed. It's like, I don't need to see that. Like,
I mean, maybe that's the one you needed to see, right? Because that was the brother. It wasn't just
sure, but you get what I mean. Like, you get what I mean. Like that revenge part was like
it was way longer
when they were discussing how they were going to do it and where. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Show me, don't tell me. Right. And like the fact that it took a
and that was the worst part, the dialogue. So it's like literally just show me, don't tell me would have been perfect.
And the fact they took a detour into looting an Elden Ring for like 15 minutes while he's trying to find a new sword. I was like, I get it, it's a good storytelling device and I like what you're doing here.
The
but
Elden Ring bit?
Yeah, I'm like,
I liked that.
I did too, but I didn't need all of it. Like he had the fox bit.
I didn't
and then
need the fox.
I was like, no,
the fox could have been cut.
The pacing was a problem in this. Like they could have that final act.
It was act 4, I think. It was we say acts. There's like it's cut into chapters. This movie.
Yeah, so it's got 4 chapters.
Is it 4? Then it would have been 3. If it was 4, it was the
third one for me. Was anyway. And this is a very sweeping statement, but some of the weird shit, some of the weird shit is hard to get behind. Like the bad CGI foxes, like. There is, like you said it, and you said it's a good thing.
Fox. Don't extrapolate the fox.
Who knows? It could have been more. You said it's a good thing. Like all the mythology is great.
Yes.
But like if you're not nerds like us, it's gonna be tough to sit through that. Like 2 people in our cinema just got up and fucking left.
But that was after like the third head rolled. I think that was more because of the gore, not because of
I don't think so. They just got up and were like, it's too much. Like it was weird. Anyway, my final one is that I just think A24 is probably just not for everyone. Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
If you were, it kind of ties.
If you're a dumbass, then leave the theater.
You don't have any sensibilities.
We don't need you.
No, I genuinely think that I think these are tough watches, and like the way the Green Knight was marketed, if you're not, I think you need to be prepared for what that movie was, and the marketing didn't do it justice. Similar-ish with this, like at least this sort of stuck to the revenge.
This was a bit closer, but like it's supposed to be hard to watch.
Yes, yeah. No, I agree.
Like if you're showing combat, like in this like time of humanity
Completely agree.
where humans hate each other and you don't make it hard to watch. It's not true to form. So
Completely agree.
Yeah.
All right, then the final question before we get into spoilers is, and don't interrupt me for once, DL, you interrupt me every week, is this movie better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
just making sure you weren't going to.
I'm finished.
Okay, sweet. It's better. It's better than Aquaman.
Yeah, it is.
Because the problem is, I guess, we don't watch enough mediocre movies. We either watch really good movies.
We watch all mediocre
No,
movies.
we watch really good movies or really bad movies. So the answer to this question is so obvious to me all the time, except for when we watch The Ambulance.
What about What about Total Recall? That was pretty.
I considered that on the bad side, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But that's on the
very,
borderline.
very bad.
It's
Like,
on the borderline. It's not very, very
yeah,
bad.
it's a bad movie.
It's an average movie.
It's just a cult classic because of how bad it is.
Sure. All right, spoilers.
Yeah.
Let's do this. There's a naked volcano fight. No, look, let's
You
start.
can see his schlong.
Let's start from
the silhouette of his schlong.
You pretty much can. Let's start from the beginning of the spoilers. So it turns out that
Father is killed by
Alexander.
brother.
Huh?
Father is killed by brother.
Well, we knew that. We've talked about that.
Yeah, spoiler.
So it turns out that that's not a spoiler.
For those who haven't seen the trailer.
Yeah. It turns out that Alexander Skarsgård's uncle, who had overthrown his father to become the leader of his kingdom, has been overthrown by somebody else and is now a sheep herder.
Shortly thereafter.
Yeah, is now a sheep herder. And when Alexander Skarsgård hears about this, that's what sets off his revenge mission. But it's a case of, it's such a downer on what you expect. You expect him to go back to this cool village.
You expect it to be the last kingdom.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's definitely it's not. That.
It's like his uncle's a weak human as well.
He goes to this shitter, like
Tiny
middle of
little-
nowhere. Like
It's like Hobbiton.
2 huts. Not even. Hobbiton would be like lit compared to this. It's just like there's like 2 huts and a fox.
Now, the most interesting part of the whole spoilers for me, the most interesting part is that Nicole Kidman's character, his Alexander Skarsgård's mother, has actually changed allegiances and is now with the uncle's loyal partner. So she's turned from the king she then loved, and her version of events now is that she actually helped plan the overthrow of the father previously. And the big revelations are all about her. She was previously a slave who was taken, who got pregnant to the previous king, and he took her on as his wife because of this. And essentially, she is just living day to day trying to survive. It's super interesting.
It's I mean, it's not known. Like they build up to it quite. Like you still don't know if she's like with him because she's now got another kid and she's just trying to survive. Like that's what you assume, right?
Yeah.
When for the first like 20 minutes of her being back around,
Exactly.
and you find out when he finally does make his move, he's basically trying to meet up with her, talk with her, so that they can plan
And escape.
and She reveals like, "Fuck, I don't want to escape with you. Like I actually told him to kill you."
Yeah.
Like she turns out to be,
I never really, I was never convinced by anything she said at any point in the movie, and I think that's a really, really top-notch piece of acting by Nicole Kidman. Like, I was never sure. Like, there was the point when she then tried to seduce Alexander Skarsgård and be like,
weird.
"You could be my king," and it's like, are you just trying to like get to the next thing? Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it's kind of like that was to show. I think it was like to prove her point, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what I would have had. Like to this point, this is what I've had to do before. I'll do it again. Like now you understand why.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
And she's also had a second child with the uncle.
To say that, like, the one part that seemed a bit fucking harsh was like how much she's like, I told him to kill you,
Yeah.
which was like, that would you really do that? Like that takes you from like
She really seemed to hate that dude.
That took her from being like understandable to being a bit like, okay, well maybe you are pretty evil.
I just didn't know where she was going to turn next. It was a crazy good performance.
It was and it was a really good twist because it's a trope reversal, right?
Yeah.
Like you're expecting him. You're first expecting it to be this grand homecoming where he steals back his kingdom. Nope,
Yeah.
it's already been stolen, and he doesn't have an army. He's not doing that. It's just a kind of lowly revenge flick.
And then the next reversal is rather than him just finding this dude, murdering everyone, he goes and tries to fit into the community. Like, they obviously don't know what he looks like. They haven't seen him since he was a child. So Skarsgård goes to his uncle's new community as a slave.
Yeah, well, that was
and spends half the freaking movie just pottering around doing housework.
Well, I think it's like hard. I think it's implied that like as good as he is, he can't take on like 20 guys at once. So he needs to find a way to like
wait till I go to sleep.
Silently assassinate him. But
I think that whole part of the movie for me was where the pacing fell down. I was a bit like, let's speed this along. Like, you're already there. Like, but that gave him a chance to meet Anya Taylor-Joy's character, and eventually she gets pregnant to him. And the final mind-blowing twist of this movie, which I really liked, was the fact that they were about to escape. So Alexander Skarsgård had mostly done all of his murdering. He'd murdered both of the sons.
Chooses his bae. Well, there's throughout the movie, like, it's like fated. Like, you need to like choose your revenge or choose love. Like,
I choose both.
This will be your choice. Yeah, you at least sounded like him as well.
No, I choose both.
That was really good.
I really like that point of the movie whereby he basically he is so revenge filled. He can't see the fact that he has this beautiful partner with his baby in her. They're about to sail off to freedom where they'd probably never be found again. His whole deal is now his head turns.
Can't let go.
And he can't let go of his revenge. And his whole point is, oh, well, if he finds out we're still alive, he will find us and kill us. Probably not. He's an old man. He doesn't have that many resources. Just go and enjoy your life.
Well, it was so close, and the movie was long enough where you were like, "This could be the end." Like,
it could be.
You knew it wasn't.
Yes.
But I actually tricked myself into thinking it might be.
Yes.
That's how good it was.
The happy ending.
It was a good little psych out, and then
there's no happy ending.
It goes from that to like
naked volcano fight.
Naked volcano fight where like the lighting is so good because you can see his arm is like half hacked off by the end of it, and he just about is about to get killed and fail, and he manages to scream himself into some steroids, some spinach, to make the final blow.
So the final fight is obviously Alexander Skarsgård's Amethyst, I'm never going to say that right, and his uncle, right? On a volcano. Not sure why. It was part of his vision, so that's where they had to do it, obviously.
I mean, it's kind of like it's also a mythological thing, like Gates of Hell.
Yeah, and they would have also melted because they were literally around lava and naked, so it didn't really make sense. But yeah, like you're right. Like, I thought that final action scene was really... They would.
Do you melt if you're near lava?
Pretty much.
Okay.
You just you do what Anakin Skywalker did. You burn up.
I will avoid lava.
I was gonna do my original stupid plot summary about Anakin Skywalker, but I was like, oh, that gives away a bit much of the film.
Yeah. Usually, I just like walk around lava.
Oh, yeah,
now that I know, I will avoid.
Oh, good. Make sure you do it naked and you won't melt. Yeah. But yeah, like you say, that like all the action in this is super visceral, and that fight is like endemic of that. Like, it really rams that point home. Like, these are just two dudes who literally have nothing to live for about it. Well, one has nothing to live for. Everything has everything to live for.
Yes.
And they're just like, let's finish this now. And you can almost hear the Mortal Kombat, finish him.
Yeah, well, it's also just really ironic because, you know, he's taken away what he could have had for something that he knows now was fraudulent.
Exactly.
So it's just like he has become the haunted. He has become the cursed person, actually.
Yeah.
In all actuality, like
and that was my point in the very beginning when I said everyone's a bad bloke in this. Like, he is so stricken by revenge. It's great.
Yeah.
And I said no one is a hero in this. There are zero heroes in this film. No one is good. No one comes out of it looking like a good. But even Anya Taylor-Joy's character, she does a bunch of dodgy shit. She spikes all them up with weird mushrooms. How messed up is the dude who has his nose?
The only guy that actually is a nice guy is like his slave mate,
who gets
just like pummeled by.
Doesn't he get murdered?
Other slave mates.
Yeah. Weird. And there is another interesting twist in there whereby the youngest son of Nicole Kidman and the uncle, I should find his name, actually runs onto a sporting pitch and gets knocked out by a big behemoth dude who's like running. I think that might have been the mountain. Yeah, you might be right. And actually, Skarsgård could have let him kill the kid, and then that's one less person off his hit list. He doesn't have to kill a child, but Skarsgård wants to do it himself, which is disturbing in itself, and actually saves the kid from the mountain so he can effectively kill himself.
I don't think that's actually like. I don't think that my take on that wasn't that the motivation was so he could kill him himself.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. But like, that's how it turned out.
Yeah, it is how it turned out. But I think he accidentally kills the kid, doesn't he? Because the kid fucking shanks him in his traps. He goes, "These are too big. Cut some of this meat off."
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, shank.
The kid's a bit strange. That kid actually reminded me of Game of Thrones Robin Aaron.
Yeah, he kind of does
for a long time.
The other part of it, that is like a reversal is like. Obviously, the mom, you know, isn't this damsel in distress, but like, kind of. Well, she is and she isn't, right? But she's got agency and she makes some pretty grave and horrifying choices, as we've talked about, to get herself out of her situation. But and there's not a lot of hints other than the fact that you don't really see everything that happens after his dad dies.
Anything.
You see enough though. Like she didn't look like she was crying tears of joy. They are tears of joy when she gets like picked up by the brother and taken away back when he's a kid, and you're like, oh fuck, he's literally just gonna rape her and she's gonna be his new wife. So I kind of felt like, oh, in another film, you might think that twist is unearned because there was no real hints. There was
so just give a bit of backstory to that
yeah.
twist.
So like the fact that the mom actually planned the assassination of the husband and the Alexander's dad in the beginning of the film was actually not, she wasn't stricken by it. She helped plan it.
Yeah.
Right. That twist you would say might feel unearned typically, but then you actually, because by the end of the movie when you finally hear about this, it's been such a brutal movie, and everyone is like so fucking brutal to each other. They're slaves, and then no one is good. You're kind of like, oh, I can totally accept that she would do anything to just keep herself safe in this world.
Absolutely,
right? Like I don't need any little foreshadowings for that to feel real. Like I get it.
Absolutely, and that's kind of nicely brings around to what we were talking about at the beginning. Like this is just a brutal movie, and that is completely circularly made up by the fact everyone just dies at the end. True. Everyone's dead
except for the mom.
No, the mum gets killed.
Sorry, the
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, the second mom.
Well, let's talk about that very quickly before we move on. Anya Taylor-Joy, right? So what happens is they're sailing away on a boat to go and
sail away.
Yeah,
sorry,
sail away with me, honey. They're sailing away on a boat. Alexander Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy to freedom, baby in belly, and they're about to have everything they ever wanted. She wanted. And he essentially jumps off the boat. He does a lot of swimming.
Swan dives, yeah.
Jumps off the boat, swims back to the island to go and murder his uncle. Okay, great. He's just left a very pretty woman on her own on a boat with a bunch of seafaring dogs who are going to be at sea for weeks without seeing another woman. There is no way she's getting out of that not having defiled in some way.
Well, I think it's implied that it's like, what's his name's men? And they think that it's his son. He's the son, right? Like right before that. But to your point, like
I didn't realize
that may not stop that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just get the feeling that when you're away, like when you're off land for that long,
in this world, anything.
Anyway, that was our rambling overview. Do you want some trivia, Dre?
I was gonna say let's do some trivia. Also, how do you rank this in terms of like revenge movies?
Give me some other revenge movies.
Like Handmaiden, Kill Bill, Mean Girls. Old Boy. Is it up there?
Old Boy's great.
I haven't seen it, but
the original Old Boy's a favorite, actually.
Notice I included Mean Girls with Old Boy.
I was going to say
it's a revenge story.
It's also not a terrible movie.
It's a good movie. Taken, revenge movie.
Great film.
You love that.
No, I hate Liam Neeson. I can't.
You would say it's better.
For me, it's probably up there with the best of the revenge movies, but mainly because of all of the differences.
Better or worse than John Wick?
Oh, good question. I like John Wick a lot.
I know. I'm trying to hit the hard questions here.
John Wick's more entertaining. This is more interesting.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm not giving you a straight answer. Look, let's do some true or false trivia for this. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
True or false? Originally, the second chapter of the book took part in Scotland, but the idea was vetoed by Alexander Skarsgård because he thought there was too much Viking fiction taking place in that area, and suggested Ameth going east instead. Is this true or is this false?
I think it's true because he's a Viking nerd.
Very, very, very close. It was supposed to take part in the British Isles. I just narrowed it down to Scotland. So
dick move.
It was a dick move, but I got you. But it's pretty much true. Like he is a massive Viking nerd, and I love that fact that he had so much sway in this.
Yes,
he clearly knew what he was talking about.
Well, he needed to.
Yeah, he really.
Anytime he doesn't have sway, he ends up as a vampire.
True.
Like he's in like 3 vampire movies. Anyway.
All right, here's your second trivia. True or false? After shooting Wrapped, several of the actors received gifts from the set. Nicole Kidman received a sword. Willem Dafoe received an actual longship. Bjork, who was in the movie for about 15 seconds, received 3 horses. And Alexander Skarsgård received the movie's blood-stained thong he wore for a week of shooting for the final scene of the film.
Gross.
Do you want a sword or do you want a thong?
I think like logistically, all of those things are a pain in the ass except for the thong, I guess. Like I'm gonna say, they're all
Yeah,
rich
just
enough to do it, but false.
Just getting 3 horses.
A long ship?
Yeah.
Where do
This
you-
is apparently true.
Where do you put it?
Like, where do you put it? When you use a long ship from the movie, like,
don't know.
there is a really cool bit in the movie, actually, when he's with his wolf pack buddies. We didn't really talk much about that. But
Yeah, we didn't. Well, it's
and
into
there
the
were-
mythos stuff. They all think
Yeah.
they're animals.
and
Kind of
they were rowing down the river, and they were just 2 fishermen, and the lad just, like, shot them just for the
dick
fun of it.
move.
Dick move. Funny, though.
Yeah.
True or false? Eggers wanted some of the berserkers to be completely naked, but did not pursue this because he feared it would be too audience alienating. True or false?
True.
It is true. He also worried that it would give the film too high an age restriction to get any money back for it. So there were some pretty much naked scenes,
Yeah.
but more silhouetted naked scenes.
Yeah. More silhouetted, bloody, naked scenes. Also, kind of like just even just them going over without the shirts on. I was like, I get it. It's a small village. You're big yoked dudes, but like, surely you
Wear
want
some sort of armor.
you want to have some armor. Like if
Block.
they're just naked, it's like you're just absolutely asking for it.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway.
Yeah, that's very true. Look, that was our rambling overview of The Northman. I bloody loved that this week, but we're back to the heady movies. I knew you'd love a good heady movie
Over
to talk
Total
about.
Recall. Well, it is Total Recall was heady, I guess. But yeah, no, I loved it, man. It was a good movie.
fantastic.
Ambitious and well executed for the most part, and just excited for more out of this A24, man.
Absolutely
when's the next one out?
same.
I'm
When
down.
is the next one out? Where's their MCU style breakdown of the upcoming
Yeah.
movies over the next 10
maybe
years?
the next 10 years of A24?
Do you want some correspondence, DL?
Yeah, I've got a couple myself for sure. Let's get into it.
You start with one.
Fan of the show, Justine says,
Awesome.
"What did you make me watch?" That was shit.
So this was
And
friend.
This is one of the people that attended.
This is
with
one
us.
of the people who attended with
Yeah,
us.
yeah. And then friend of the show, Mazeman, actually, surprisingly enjoyed the movie.
That's
Did not think it
interesting.
was shit. Just made her sick.
Oh wow,
Yeah, a lot of blood.
physically sick.
Yeah, physically ill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no reviews of this movie, unfortunately, yet. But we would love to know what you guys think. Hit us up at Podcast Assemble
Yeah.
on Instagram and let us know. We had a couple of other bits, though. We did have social media guy Lockie. He messaged us and asked us, when are we going to see the Doctor Strange movie? And I've had a few people asking me this question this week. When are we going, DL?
Next Wednesday.
I think we're going on Wednesday, right? Is that the 4th?
Gold class. We treated ourselves. Pinky
We're
out.
going all out. All out. So he is also going on the 4th, but he's going late. He's going like a 10 p.m. showing. So yeah, I'm super. That's our show next week, right? That's
Tommy's
that's what we're
favorite,
gonna be talking about.
most anticipated movie.
It's probably up there. Yeah. It's got to be up there.
One of the top 3, I think.
Look, next piece of correspondence is from friend of the show, Chris, who asks us, have either of us been playing any of the Lego Star Wars game, the Skywalker Saga? And my answer to that is no, but I love the Lego games.
5 times fast. That.
You go.
I could not. the Lego Star Wars Skyward Saga.
Yeah, it's tough to
Oh
say.
my god, it's difficult.
I told you.
No, I haven't played a Star Wars Lego game.
Have you played any Lego games?
Lego game, I should say, in
Okay.
a long time. But like they get good reviews.
Yeah, he says he's really enjoying it. He's a bit of a Star Wars nerd, from what he says. And he says he's really enjoying it. The last time I played a Star Wars game, I played the Harry Potter Star Wars games because we all know I'm a big nerd for the Harry Potter books. I loved it.
Can't wait for that.
Stuck closer to the books than it did the films,
Than
and
the
that's why
films
I
did?
liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I liked it.
That is
But
good.
yeah, that's a good one. And final piece of correspondence from my end. We had a piece of actually we had this from a couple of people, but again, friend of the show Mazeman messaged and told us that April 26th, which is 2 days ago,
Which is the past.
which is now the past, but
Where's
when
Christopher Nolan
when
when
it
you
was
need him?
sent was the 3rd anniversary of the Avengers Endgame opening night, and a bunch of people posted. Have you seen the reaction videos of people in the cinema and everyone's around them when Cap picks up Mjolnir and everyone's going, "Oh,
Yeah.
all the whooping from back at
Yeah.
the beginning of the show. And yeah, we had a bunch of people send us that. So thank you guys, everyone, for the correspondence.
Love it. Love it.
Do you want to wrap up the show?
Yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. We love when you send us memes. Tommy, do you get any memes this week?
We didn't get
I
memes.
know you sent me some news, but I didn't see any memes.
We didn't get memes.
Light on the memes.
I instead of the memes, I stuck with the Avengers 3-year anniversary.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we do love memes, guys.
Yeah, we do love them. Send them through.
Superhero memes are my favorite.
And if you enjoy hearing us talk about like Total Recall and these Terrible movies.
Hey, that wasn't a terrible movie.
Terrible movies. Give us a 5-star review. We'd love it. We appreciate it. Helps the algos. And then again, lastly, man, thank you, Lockie. Hope you enjoy the movie next week. We really appreciate all the work you're doing.
We'll be back next week with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we'll man, that's gonna just be a good one, isn't it? Excited to talk about that one. I think it's gonna blow out the MCU, like what we expect. It's gonna, as I said, way back when we were talking about Howard the fucking Duck, I think.
It's my most anticipated movie.
It's good. Benedict Cumberbatch is going to power the next phase of the MCU. And
Let's
I
hope
think
that's
this
true.
is going to be the start of it, right? So,
Well, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
yeah.
Tally ho.
Salut.